Zoom. We'll forego that this time. We'll go straight into our activity report. Just a note, we don't have anyone with us, but I'll just make it known for the record. Since we're doing this by Zoom, I'd ask anyone who wants to contribute to the conversation, use the hand raising feature. Then I'll recognize you, call your name. That way you can make the motion, second, or add to the discussion. But otherwise, I'd ask you just remain muted at all times. And that's just so that we can all hear each other and there's no overlap in the conversation. Jennifer's diligently taking minutes, but we want to make sure that she's able to capture everything accurately. I think she said she had 51 or 53 pages of handwritten notes from our last meeting, so let's make life easier for her. With that, the other thing is the Zoom box, use that for technical issues. I'm going to ignore any comments that are not technical based. That's not the forum for conversation. And then with that, I'll start. My activity report's pretty slim. I had a policy and procedures meeting with Neil. I think, Neil, we did okay with that. It wasn't too terrible. Pretty quick, got some things accomplished, some stuff that's on the agenda coming up here. Otherwise, I don't have anything particularly interesting to report. The news article from NPR regarding the MPCA lawsuit did air on the radio. If anyone wants that, I can send that to you. And then I think the press will be running a story either this week or next on that lawsuit as well. Just a reminder, the lawsuit is not alleging that our water is unsafe. Our water is tested by the Department of Health and by the MPCA, and everything is up to spec. This was simply brought to our attention because that employee with Minnesota Pollution Control Agency claims he was denied promotions and advancements because he was trying to raise issues. One of those issues being that Paynesville and the state could have saved millions of dollars had we excavated the old Midtown fueling station instead of just trying to treat it. So that's all I have. I'll go then to the person sitting immediately next to me on the Zoom screen, which is the change of our normal pace. Megan.
Sorry, it changed from my normal pace too. Can you hear me? So I did a video conference about health and resilience through arts with Tarek, and I was also in an Edap meeting and an Edap financial subcommittee meeting, both of which concerned a loan for a business downtown that I think we'll be discussing later on. And I think that might be it.
Thank you. Going next onto my Zoom screen, Jean.
I had also that same EDAP meeting, not the subcommittee, and it is on the agenda, and then also Planning Commission, and that's on the agenda too.
Okay, thank you. Paul?
I had the property negotiations with Neil, Art, and Ron, and we had a bid for some land, the land between Quick Trip and McDonald's, which we came back with a counter proposal, but they came back very low. So as it sounds right now, we're just going to stall and see what happens down the road. That's all I have.
Thank you. Neil?
Yeah.
You're on.
Am I on?
You're on.
Okay, had the policy and procedure meeting, which you discussed, and the property negotiation meeting that Paul discussed. Terry had a report in his weekly update on that also that everybody, I'm sure, read.
All right, thank you. Going on then to our department head reports. Ron?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. First of all, with all the snow activity, I'd like to remind residents again to please clean their sidewalks, and if you do have a hydrant in your neighborhood there, please clean that also. Park reservations, just a reminder that we do take reservations for Veterans Park and Gazebo Park, and they're starting to fill up somewhat. Also, I'd just like to remind residents that you monitor your water temperature. If it does hit at 38, 39 degrees, please let us know, and we can start running it at that point. We're going to have a little bit of a conversation with a couple people on the Water Fest or Rawhead Committee, and we would like to schedule the Water Festival for the 6th of May this year. Working with the school on that currently. But they would like to see that go ahead. And then again, the spring cleanup is scheduled for April the 30th. Thank you.
You, Tarek.
Yes, I also attended the policies and procedures, as well as the Edap.
Tarek, you're on mute.
All right. I attended the policies and procedures meeting. I also attended the health and resilience Zoom call with Megan. There was also another regional Federal Reserve meeting, which this time they're discussing how some companies were affected, due to COVID over the past year and a half or so, and they specifically were looking at Best Buy and how they managed to, deal with the situation at the time. In addition to the EDAP meeting, we also had the EDAP Finance Subcommittee meeting, and we'll be talking about that a little bit later. Planning Board as well, which we discussed the variance. We'll be discussing that later. Property negotiations, as Paul Thielen said, we reviewed an offer that we received. And then with Bill Ludwig, I had interviews for liquor store, which we selected at least one candidate. And then one thing I want to point out as well, the Chamber of Commerce is having their annual meeting and banquet, so if anybody would like to attend, let me know. It is going to be this Saturday the 29th. So anybody who wants to attend that, it's 5 to 8, I believe. There really isn't any information on their website about this, but anybody who wants more information, I know Kayla's online right now. Maybe she can give more information on that. Let me know if there's any interest. That's it.
All right, thank you, Tarek. This is the part of our agenda we have dedicated to the open forum. I'm not seeing anybody here, but if that's mistaken, I just ask you to raise your hand. We have 10 minutes if anybody wants to talk to us about anything that's on or off the agenda. We won't take action, but we could discuss. If not seeing anything, we will go on to the approval of our consent agenda, which includes the mini meeting minutes found on page 1, along with approvals of the vouchers totaling $315,205.90. I'd be looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda. Gene.
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion by Gene. Is there a second? Second. There's a second by Neil. Okay. That's all right. With that, motion to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? Okay. We'll have this roll call vote. We'll do the same order we did last time. Neil?
Yes.
Okay. Gene?
Aye.
Paul? Aye. Megan?
Aye.
That does carry unanimously. Right, moving on then. Kayla, did you want to get bumped up? I know you said you have to go to the township meeting.
If that's okay, I would love that.
Yeah, we can put you at the end. That's fine.
Perfect.
No, so we'll go ahead. We'll jump ahead to new business item F, the 2022 backdraft ASH, page 23 of the agenda. Kayla sent me a message that she has to run to the township meeting, so we'll bump her up here so that she can get going to that one. Oh, and I'm sorry, not Shane Schmidt. Shane Jansen was going to be joining you. My bad. Sorry, Shane.
That's okay.
What can you tell us, Kayla? What do we need to know?
Okay, so the Backdraft Bash will take place on June 18th of 2022, so this year. We are going to be holding our event up at the Civic Arena in the township, just like we did last year, same location. What our three items for coming to the council tonight is, one, just to notify you guys. I know that previously the committee has come just a couple of times so that the council stays informed as to where everything is at with the event. So I just kind of wanted to start that process a little earlier this year. The second reason is with requesting the one-day liquor license from the county. We need the certificate for liability insurance, and I was informed at our last meeting that the city provides that, so I'm making a formal request that we are able to receive a copy of that to include with our license. And then the third reason is I know that the Painesville Police Department provided security for the event last year, so I just wanted to make the request to the council if that is okay that we move forward with speaking with the police department to see if they are willing to provide security again this year.
Thank you for opening up the dialogue early. We appreciate that. I think with the insurance, that's something that Tarek could discuss. I don't know that we need to take any formal action on that. But if we need to provide an extra rider or something like that, we can come back once we have all of those details.
Okay.
And then at this point, have there been any conversations with Chief Wagner about any applications you might need to fill out or process for getting that coverage in place?
I believe at our last meeting, Shane Jansen had said that he was going to kind of make an informal reach out to Chief Wagner just to ask, once again, just to kind of start that conversation. As of this meeting, I do not have an update if he was able to start that conversation, but I can follow up with him on Wednesday when we have our next meeting.
I think it worked out well the way the security ran last year. I'm not seeing any heads nodding in disagreement with me. So I think my position is I think we'd all be okay with the police department providing security again this year, just whether or not we have to go through anything formal. I'd be hesitant to make a motion tonight without the chief here. But Neil, I see you have your hand raised. We'll turn it over to you.
Nope, that was a mistake.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All good. Yeah, I don't know that we need to make any formal motions tonight. If anybody disagrees, or Kayla, if you think you need something official from us, we can do that. But I appreciate you coming to us early so we can start this conversation.
No, I appreciate you guys. I will, I'll make a note to reach out to Tarek later this week just to get a copy of that insurance certificate so we can submit it with our liquor license.
Okay, great. Oh, I see your hand is up.
Yeah.
Oh, you muted yourself, Paul. Okay. All right. I think Tarek's trying to help. Maybe just one person trying. There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I don't see any problem with this going through like it did last year. I do think it's good to get Paul Wagner into the loop and take it from there, but everything on my end seems to look pretty good here, so thank you for the information, Kayla.
Thank you guys for having me.
All right, Kayla, anything else you need to share?
I don't think so, but if anyone has any questions about the annual chamber meeting, like Tarek had mentioned, just let me know. Tickets are still available. It's on Saturday from 5 to 8. We're doing in conjunction with the school where they'll be handing out their para awards for people who have reached certain milestones. Yeah, that's all I got.
Awesome.
Thank you guys.
Kayla. All right, before we move back up to item A, Jennifer, I'll just note for the record, I didn't call on myself for a vote on the consent agenda. I was an aye vote, or at least I would have been had I remembered to call. So I consider that one a 5-0, and we'll do better this next time, I promise. So then we have the ordinance number 33, third series regarding the mayor and council compensation. This is something that Jennifer and Belinda brought to our attention after one of the trainings they attended. Whereas council, we should be paid monthly instead of quarterly. The amounts do not change. Everything stays the same dollar-wise. It just changes the frequency. So at this point, policies and procedures did review and recommend approval. This is here for informational for right now, but if anyone has any questions, we can discuss it. Okay. Not seeing seeing any, so we'll let that post, and we'll come back at our next meeting for approval. And we have a variance request from Centricare. Tarek or Jennifer, was anybody from Centricare going to be coming here tonight to talk to us about this?
No, I don't have anybody from Centricare.
Okay, then I'll turn it over to Tarek, Jennifer, Jean, anyone willing to talk to us about what's going on here and bring us all up to speed?
I'll give you the overview and maybe have Jennifer give you some of the details because she's more involved on that side. Centricare is part of their expansion plan. They're doing, they're adding to their building, and part of the thing they're facing now is they're trying to keep the hallway from the old building and the new building aligned, and to do so with the current design that they have, they will have to go a little bit north, which requires a variance because they'll be a little bit close to the curb. Not as close as they have the imaging unit there now, not that close, but still it requires a variance. And that was the main part of the application right now is for that. One of the things that we asked them, and that with Bill Cooner as well, is going forward, and we're trying to do a longer term planning, we'd like to know, instead of having them apply for a variance, is just to see what their plans are longer term so that we can address anything right now. And we don't want to get into the habit of anytime we want to do something, come and apply for a variance. That's not really the objective of it. That's my take on it. If Jennifer, you want to add some more detail, and or Bill Cooner as well.
Jennifer?
The Centricare representatives are not on tonight because it's actually a formality for us to set the public hearing. I did reach out to Brandon this afternoon, and he said due to the formality, he would wait for his staff or himself to do the overview during the public hearing. You will note on page 11 of your agenda packet, you'll see there in the red where the setbacks are less than the required 25 feet. They're actually addressed off of First Street, and that is the largest setback, which is 25 feet. Therefore, they cannot meet it. But they can meet all their setbacks from Washburn, Stearns, and of course, Highway 55. They also meet their height restrictions and their lot coverage. So they do not need a variance for either of those. You will see on page 11 of your packet also that the helipad has been moved closer to Stearns Avenue, and their generator is being moved to what I would call the northwest corner of the property. So those are just some things to think about as we progress with the addition and expansion of Centricare. So off of Stearns Avenue now, that will be their major parking for inpatients. That will be their entry to the hospital. They'll have pictures that they have skewed up on page 13 through 15 of the agenda. You'll get a feel for that. And Tarek is exactly right. The setback that they are asking for is not as invasive as the imaging truck. That imaging facility is within the city right away. So with that, I can turn it over to Bill if he has anything else to add.
The only thing I would have, my recommendation to planning was that a condition of the grant of easement be that for going forward purposes, we declare their front side to be either Washburn or is it Stearns? Anyway, the other side, one of the other sides would be their front. For all future purposes, so that we don't have to worry about that side setback being so short.
Okay, thank you. So for tonight, we'd be looking at just a motion to set the public hearing, but it's helpful to have a little bit of background info. Gail, I see your hand is up.
There we go. with a big project like this, I think it's needs to be done, and I'll make the motion to set the Center Care variance public hearing for Monday, February 28th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m.
I have a motion by Hertzberg. Megan.
Second.
I have a second by Brett. Any further discussion on this tonight? Seeing no hands, I'll call the vote. Neil.
Aye.
Jean.
Aye.
Megan.
Aye.
Paul.
Aye.
It's an aye for me. That does carry unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Moving on then to page 18, there was discussion last time with the extensive nature of our working session, whether or not we wanted to do more of a retreat style rather than a working session. So a discussion tonight on when, where, how, what's going to be on there, so on and so forth. I think my biggest concern, and Bill, maybe you could address some of this as open meeting law, but if we're going to have a working session that's going to be an all-day type seminar, how do we make sure that it's open and accessible to the public?
I mean, I think the location has to be a location where the public has access, and there has to be notice. I mean, other than that, I don't think there's any requirements, but you got to do it in a space where there's room for members of the public to attend, if they choose to do so.
Neil?
Yes, I think maybe at our work session on the 9th of March, we should discuss and come up with maybe a place to go. A retreat's a good idea. I'm not sure. I don't think we budgeted for it in 22, so that might have a reflection also, but I think a retreat's a good idea.
Paul, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, I've got two questions. First one being is, why can't this be a closed session? And the second one was the comment that we have a lot of serious stuff to talk about in the near future, with a lot of implications that we don't know which way it's going to end up. So, anyways, that's my questions.
So I'll just say, regarding the closed session, there are only limited circumstances where we can go into a closed session, such as if we're discussing like a potential lawsuit or sale of a property, employee reviews, things of that nature. And as far as I know, nothing that's been put on an agenda so far falls within any of those criteria. And the statute says that unless it fits some of those very narrow specific things, then we have to be open in public. That's just a way of ensuring transparency. I hope that answers that part of the question. Certainly talk about agenda items that are regularly scheduled working session in March, like Neil suggested. Dean, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, my thought was that this would replace the March 9th one, since we have so much to discuss. And previous years, previously we had one a couple of times, and we talked to Cronus Ministries, and I know it was not expensive. It wasn't a terrible price. So I was just thinking, that's a good location. It's accessible. And they'd serve us lunch if we want to do an all-day one.
Thank you, Jean. Megan?
So in previous years when this has been done, has it been recorded like a normal session would be, or how has that worked out? Or is it just how people can come if they want, or is it recorded like a regular session? Anybody know?
I see Jean's hand, and then I see Jennifer, so we'll go Jean first.
Yeah, no, it hasn't been recorded before, but at the time we did it, we weren't recording council meetings then, so. Imagine.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of what I wondered, and if that would make a difference as to where we could go and what kind of space we could use if we had to record it now, which is understandable.
Jennifer?
since my time here, I believe we only did one retreat.
Right.
And I believe that was either at Bugby or Cronus Ministries, and that was not recorded. We had a consultant come in and actually help the council through priorities and goal setting. The council and department heads met at that one. Long range, short range goals. So it was not recorded. The only notes that were taken were things that the council wanted to act on. And I don't believe any public showed up to that one either.
I think those, if I remember right, that was a little bit of a different animal, though. We weren't really discussing city business in the sense of, in the normal sense of it. I mean, they were trying to set priorities and do some goal setting, but it was not really specific items of business, I don't think.
Jennifer?
I believe Bill is correct. Otherwise, the business that you want to discuss would probably be best done in a closed session. Or not a closed session, but a working session, excuse me.
My thought is, let's leave the March working session alone for now. If Tarek and Jennifer could look into Bugby or Cronus Ministries, or maybe even, using like the conference room at the hotel, or the Green Roof Area Center, something like that. Cost-wise, availability, food options, just give us an idea of what we're at, and then we can come back on this conversation at our next meeting and discuss agenda items, things of that nature. And if anybody has any topics that they'd like to discuss, certainly bring them to mine, Tarek, Jennifer's attention, someone, if you think that we need to discuss it in any other type of way. I think we leave everything alone for right now. We come back in 2 weeks knowing where everyone's at. We can all stew on it for a little while and discuss it at our next meeting. Any objections to proceeding that way? Okay. All right. Then I'm going to go on to page 19, letter D, the Lions Club donation of the bike repair station. Cost came in a little bit higher, and the Lions graciously decided that they're going to continue to donate and kicked in a little bit more, so we need to amend our previous motion. Tarek or Bill, am I missing anything from that?
Nope, I don't see anything.
Nope, I got a correction there for them.
Okay, Ron, what do you have?
The cost actually came in exactly where they were supposed to. It's just that they never moved ahead with the trash cans. And why they wrote the check out for what they did, I am not sure, but they just asked that we keep it for a different project somewhere down the road to be determined.
Okay, so essentially we'd be looking at accepting the donation of $3,073.97 to pay for the bike repair station, and then placing any extra funds in that'd be the trail fund or the park fund.
They asked that it be held, down for a date to be determined yet, or for an item to be determined.
I think they wanted to do that trash can. It just came in so high that they wanted to wait and see if that would change, or maybe do something else in that area, but they don't have a particular idea.
Are we able to accept funds and just sort of hold them in trust until a later date?
Well, I would say it depends on when the later date is. I mean, it should definitely be within this year. I don't want to get into any issues with auditors later that we're holding money unallocated for more than a calendar year.
And I think if you just tell the Lions that they got to figure something out, they'll do it. I don't think that's a problem.
We can come up with a project.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we'd be looking for a action sheet to accept the generous donation from the Lions. Neil?
Yes, I make the motion to approve the donation of $3,073.97 from the Lions Club for a bike station repair with the use of additional donated funds to be determined at a later date within the year 2022.
All right, I have a motion by Hertzberg to approve the donation from the Lions Club for the bike repair station with the use of additional funds to be determined at a later date within calendar year 2022. All right, Dean.
Second.
I have a second by Sweeney. Any further discussion on that? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. Neil?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Megan?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And it's an aye from me. Thank you. Going on then to letter D, the para for the part-time officer. Tarek, do you want to bring us up to speed on this?
We have a part-time officer who was, when they joined in 2019, and they, whoever, the person that was doing payroll at the time, misallocated them or put them as a retired para employee when they were just a retired employee. So therefore, they were not being captured within para. And para has since notified us that has been an error, and as a result of that, this employee, as well as the city, will need to catch up with para contributions and do so going forward.
I mean, you and I discussed a little bit. This is budgeted for, yes?
It's not budgeted for, but it comes out to around $1,200, which I think it won't really affect the budget.
So is it my understanding that this is retroactive?
Mark?
I didn't hear that question. Can you repeat?
Is it my understanding that this is retroactive?
Yes, it has to go back to when the employee started. And of course, it wouldn't have been caught in 2019 anyway because the earnings were below the threshold that they would have looked at it. But in 2020, they should have, and it wasn't noticed until the end of 2021.
Are we going to have to revisit this if there's another part-time police officer that is eligible, or is this just going to be automatically included?
Well, now we know what the flags are, or what to look for when, for example, if you get a retired employee. If they were with para before and they retired from para, then they don't have to pay into it again. However, if they never paid into para and they retired, but from someplace else, they would still have to contribute to para.
Okay, thanks.
Neil?
Is this an item that should have been caught by our auditors, or is it one of them that was kind of hid and wouldn't show?
This would have been caught, or should have been caught by para themselves, because it was one of their flags, not one of our flags. According to us, we filled out the application to para as it should have been. The person was retired. It's just that on the application they said that they retired from para. And that was the error, which, we wouldn't have known about it. It's something para should have caught. And they did eventually.
Okay, and with that, I'll make the motion to approve Resolution 2022-07, para membership for the part-time police officers.
Motion by Hertzberg to approve the resolution. Megan?
I'll second.
A motion by Hertzberg, seconded by Brick, to approve Resolution 2022-07. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. Neil?
Aye.
Dean?
Aye.
Megan?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
That's an aye for me. Thank you, everyone. Going on then to the Edap loan. Skipping ahead to letter F, G, since Kayla was here to talk to us about backdraft cash. Tarek, could you talk to us about this loan?
Yes, Edap held this meeting last week, and we were introduced to the prospective owner of cabinet making company that wants to relocate here to a property that is being sold by Mr. Riley, and he wants to use it as a place for his family to live in, as on the back side, as well as on the front side. He wants to have a showroom as well as a cabinet shop. He's already has a cabinet shop near Big Lake, Elk River area, and lives near Avon. So of course they want to consolidate and live in one area, work in the same area. They like Paynesville, they like the town. When they initially applied for an SBA loan, for which they got approved, they weren't aware of some of the other safety measures they had to take into consideration, such as the water sprinkler, as well as firewall, etc., which added to the cost. The increase in cost, they're looking for gap financing, which is what Edap, where Edap comes in. So the funds that they received from the SBA, that's been approved. However, they're looking for a $100,000 loan from Edap to cover the extra cost for bringing it up to code. So, of course, we had a chance to meet with them and discuss. Their banker was also on the call with us, Central Minnesota Credit Union. They like the business as well. They give us all the credit documents to review. And then, with the okay from the Edap board, we had the Edap Finance Subcommittee meeting, and also we went through in detail their financials, and of course afterwards that the members agreed that they would recommend that Edap provide this loan to them. Township as well is interested in coming in. They're waiting for us to kind of get our approval, and it is my understanding that Township would consider taking half as well, so it'll be a 50-50 between the Township and the city. The terms of the loan that we discussed are a 5-year balloon, which will be amortized over 20 years to keep the payments down. The business owner as well as their banker agreed that that's fair, and of course the interest rate on it will be the lowest that we can offer, which is 3% on the loan. So those would be the terms.
Okay. Gene, I saw that you had your hand up. Was there something you wanted to add?
I was just going to say that the township's planning to split it with us, but Tarek did mention that. So.
Okay, thank you. Neil.
Question, Tarek says 3%, the paperwork says 3.5%. I just want to clarify the interest rate.
Yes, they said it was 3.5%, and I guess they weren't aware of the minimum that we had in place. They thought that was the minimum, and it's actually 3%. Initially, we thought when we were reviewing it at the subcommittee, it was 1.5 over the prime, which would have been even less than 3. But then, looking at the documents, it's clear that we can't go lower than 3.
No.
Yes, I think we should approve this when we have businesses that want to locate and expand, and for $50,000, I think it's almost a no-brainer.
Our revolving loan fund, is that still pretty healthy? I imagine it is.
Yes, it is. Our loan balance, I'm not including the township, they have their own balance, is around $380,000.
We'll still have plenty in there for future loans.
Yes.
Okay. And the recommendation from Edap is to approve the loan of $100,000, funded 50 from the city, 50 from the township, amortized over 20 years with the balloon payment at the end of 5. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. We'd be looking for a motion at those terms. Paul, you're first on my screen.
Yeah, I would like to make the motion for Edap revolving loan to Northlands Woodco LLC.
And that motion is for the terms that we've discussed?
That is correct.
Okay. Neil?
I will second that motion.
Okay, so I have a motion by Gillen, seconded by Hertzberg, to approve a loan to Northland Woodco LLC in the amount of $100,000, funded $50,000 from the city, $50,000 from the township revolving funds, amortized payments over 20 years with the balloon payment at 5, interest at 3%. Art, did you confirm that I got the terms right?
Yes, those are the correct terms.
Okay. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none, I'll call the vote. Neil?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Megan?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
All right, and I am an aye as well. That does carry. Number 1. Okay, moving on then to item A under old business, ordinance number 32, third series. Revising the animal ordinance to bring it more in line with reality and what other parts of our ordinances say. It has been posted, so at this point we'd be looking for a motion to approve the ordinance and then a second motion to approve the summary. Neil?
Make a motion to approve ordinance number 32, third series.
I have a motion by Hertzberg.
Second.
Seconded by Soini to approve the ordinance number 32, third series. Any further discussion on that? Okay, seeing none, I'll call the vote. Neil?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Megan?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
It's an aye for me. That does carry 5-0. Okay, then we'd be looking for a motion to approve the official summary of the ordinance for publication. Jean?
I'll make the motion to approve the official summary of ordinance number 32, third series.
All right, I have a motion by Soini. Do I have a second? Paul?
Yeah, I'll second.
I have a motion by Soini, seconded by Thielen, to approve the summary of ordinance number 32, third series. Any further discussion on that one? None. Okay, I'll call the vote. Neil?
Aye.
Jean?
Aye.
Megan?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And it's an aye for me. Thank you. That does carry. Okay, moving on then to old business B, the chloride report and survey. Ron or Chuck, which one of you would like to talk to us about that?
I guess I can start. If we're proposing to provide a newsletter to our residents, basically give them a quick, brief overview of our wastewater treatment and just a little bit of what we experienced last summer, noting that, we did have some chloride issues, and it did affect the crop yields. For the most part, the farmers out there have been very good to work with. They have been very proactive on this, but some of them did some grid sampling, basically taking the soil sample every 2 acres and figuring out exactly where and how much gypsum they need to apply. They're going to be taking care of that end of it. Public Works is looking at giving them a discount, which will be coming to a future meeting. But then what can we do, or where does the chlorides come from? Kind of tells us it's coming from, the majority of it obviously is coming from our own homes right through our softeners. And that's what our survey questions would like to try to identify how many and where, so residents can either drop this survey off back at City Hall here or go onto the website and follow the Survey Monkey there. So, but again, this did go through Public Works and they have recommended it. Another thing that we are looking at here, we do have, they will be set up hopefully this week. It is a moss filter system. And we'll run a test on that for approximately 60, maybe 90 days and get a good idea of what's going in, what's going out. From what we're understanding, they're claiming it can remove up to 80% of the manganese or the hardness. So we'll see if what they're telling us is true.
Paul, I see your hand up, but I'm just going to ask, do you have anything that we need to add to that?
No, I think Ron covered it. I think the goal was to try to keep the survey fairly simple and just get as a starting point to get an idea on what people are using for salt consumption in their softeners.
Okay. Mostly I just didn't want you to think that we'd forgotten about you over there.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, Paul, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, my thought is, what would it take to get simple desalination to get rid of the salt through this? Does Ron or Chuck, have any idea what something like this would cost? And back to the filtering, how much of a cost are we looking at for that?
If we want to put in a lime softening water treatment plant, we'd be talking about $20 million. It's enormously expensive. This Moss filter system that we're going to be trying, it would replace the water softener that's in your home. So I'm just guessing it's going to cost around $2,000 for each one. So yes, it'd be a huge difference.
And when you say each one, how many are we?
Well, if you have a water softener in your house, this would replace or be in conjunction with your water softener.
Yeah, I'm not real familiar with these. Is there a lifespan on them?
They're new on the market. These actually, they're not even approved yet. So this was just kind of a test run, and they've asked us to participate in it. And I think this, at some point, there's going to be something else out there besides a salt-based water softener. And that technology, I think we're going to see it eventually.
Thank you. That's very informative.
All right, then we're looking for a motion to approve sending out the chloride newsletter and the survey. Neil, I see your hand is up.
Yes, I will make motion that we send out the chloride newsletter and survey to the Painesville residents and business.
I have a motion by Hertzberg. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, I have a second by Soini to send out the chloride newsletter and survey to Painesville residents and businesses. Any further discussion on that? Okay, once we get the survey, we'll figure out where we go from there. That, I'll call the vote. Neil?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Megan?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And it's an aye for me. All right. That does carry. We have our informational, which include the investment reports listed there. There's a variance with Stearns County. The CenterPoint energy rate increase notice is on page 42. There's been some discussion of that. I know on social media, one of the big things that I think is often overlooked is the effect that the Texas freeze last winter had on our natural gas rates up here, as CenterPoint is sticking us with the bill for Texas not knowing how to run an energy grid. And then we have our February and March meetings scheduled. So with no further business, then we will adjourn. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Great. Our second Zoom meeting here was, I think, a resounding success. Jennifer and Tarek, I will swing over to City Hall and sign some stuff. I know there's vouchers and a number of other things over there. So I'll head that way now, and then I'll go pick up my kids.
All right. See you soon.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Goodbye.